Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Hello. Well, it's a few minutes after 2, so we should get started. On today's Dean's Forum, several things are at play. Education is at play. Legacy is at play. First generation and low-income students all at play. So how all these interplay together, we are going to be talking about today. But let me start off by defining education. What is education? Many sources would define education as the process of facilitating learning or the acquisition of knowledge, skills, values, beliefs, and habits. And legacy, on the other hand, is defined as something handed or passed along. And in a few minutes, my colleague here will talk about, I'll give you a quick overview of what first generation as well as low-income student is. But before we started, let me introduce myself again to you. My name is Alex Ibe, and I'm the Dean of Humanities and Sciences. And my colleague, Kim Hutton, Director of Student Support Services. And together, we are going to lead this conversation. We would like it to be more interactive. We would like your input in the process. All right? So feel free at any time to jump in the conversation, or we can get you involved in the process. All right? So, we are going to talk about this. I will start with a quote by George Couros. George Couros is an innovative teacher. And he said something that I'm going to quote you. He said, "Your legacy as an educator is determined by what your students do," which is true. And according to another educator, John Spencer states that when you empower your students to own their learning, they became makers and dreamers and builders and tinkerers. They grow into innovators who change the world, and that's the essence of education. When you are silent or refuse to lend a voice, you are not only depriving yourself a place in history, but your children and generations thereafter are denied of your solemn abilities, innovation, and creativity. Your voice matters. Your action matters. It is your legacy. So lend your voice for a better tomorrow. On that note, I'm going to turn it over to my friend, Kim. But before we do, I do have a quick pause for you guys here. If you have your cell phone, your smartphone, don't go ahead, let's do this by testing. Test to the number, test to 3707, Alexander eBay 395. Once you get in, you will get a link that says Pause Everywhere. Then you click on that Pause Everywhere. Then it takes you to where we are. You join the conversation. Who is the first person to get in? Oh, okay, good. technologically savvy ones.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you are in, I would like you will see the question up there that said, what phrase describes your educational legacy? And that applies to not just faculty members and staff, also to students. So how would you like to be remembered? What's your educational legacy? So typing your answer is an open-ended answer. You can enter as many phrases as possible you want to once you get in. Susie?
I don't know how this works.
How it works is that on your cell phone, you text to this number, 3767, then you text into it, Alexander Eben 395.
Do they have to use the hyphen between each word if you're doing more than one word?
No, they don't have to. They don't have to.
One of them we did.
Just one word, lowercase, uppercase, doesn't matter.
Okay, and what's the question again?
At the very top, what phrase describes your educational legacy? All right? I'm going to open the response. So far, this is what we are getting so far. Empowerment, want. Advocate, want.
So is this just adding the
Yeah,
more that are
adding
coming
the more,
in?
yes.
Okay.
Wonderful. Different. Wonderful. Okay. While we're still getting those information, I would like you to proceed. I'm going to take it out for a moment. You can continue to answer if you want to, but let me have Kim go here.
I kind of like that up there, Dr. Eve.
Huh?
I kind of like that up there. To me, that was encouraging, just seeing some of the responses that are being displayed up there. Just real quick, I just kind of want to tell you a little bit about me. I am the director of the Student Support Services, which is a part of a TRIO program that serves first-generation students, students of low income, and students with disabilities. I did leave some flyers up front that tell a little bit about our program if you're interested in learning a little bit more about TRIO programs, so those are up there for you. One of the things that I think is very important that I often hear is students and just people in general are not really sure what a first-generation student is, what qualifies someone as first generation. A lot of the times, too, first generation gets combined with low income, and it is two separate entities. Your first generation is one thing, low income is another. And just to read to you what a first-generation student is, a first-generation student refers to a student whose parents or legal guardians did not receive a bachelor's degree. The result being that the student has not had exposure to college in the home. So a lot of the times they say, well, my parents went to college for a little bit, or maybe they had an associate's degree. You're a first-generation student unless one of those parents or someone you're living with has a degree. Okay? A low-income student refers to the taxable income that a family has that does not exceed 150% of the national poverty level in the calendar year prior to a student's entering college for the first time. This poverty level is established by the U.S. Census Bureau every year and varies based on family size and the state of residence. When we talk about a first-generation student, we're talking about their parents did not go to college. When we're talking about a low-income student, it is defined on the income of the family. A lot of the times what I notice and what I see working in TRIO programs for the past 11 years and experience, a lot of the times a first-generation student, their family is not low income. Their family is a middle-class family, sometimes an upper-class family. Their parents may not have a bachelor's degree, but they have found a trade, or they're an entrepreneur or something that has given them, with their experience, enough to provide for their family. Okay? A low-income family is, of course, not educated, not had the opportunity to go to college. They are working 2 to 3 jobs to provide for the family. A lot of the time the student may be helping provide for the family. Opportunities are limited for a low-income student due to their finances. Also, with that being said, a lot of the low-income students, they're just living for the day and living for the moment because they're not really sure what their future holds. Okay?
This also applies to international students. It doesn't have to be local born students or United States students. International students are equally categorized in this definition of first generation and low income. So majority of our students fall within this category, just to let you know. Let's see here, what's in your ways of being successful or completing college? There are so many things that could come into play, right? So those are the things we want to talk about today. Some of the barriers and how we can eliminate them, and where we can have facilitators, which are our facilitators being the educators, our professors, our administrators, staff members. What role can they play towards the successful completion of your studies here at Weatherford College? Let me talk about a little bit about some of the cultural enrichment activities. A lot of times we have these unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectation in the sense that when every student comes to us, we have students coming from suburban area, rural communities, big cities, international students, they all get together, and we have that unrealistic expectation that they're all supposed to be at the same level. They're all supposed to learn at the same level. And that is not the truth. The truth is that every one of you come here with your own abilities. Some of you are very underprepared. Some of you are very prepared. And some of you bring with you some unique abilities that no one else has. So it becomes our responsibility as educators to identify those unique abilities, those differences, and blend them together. Because we feel, I truly believe that cultural diversity benefits our educational process. Okay? It is what cultural diversity brings in education is unquantifiable. We cannot quantify it, but we can take advantage of it and make it better. And which means we have to take every one of you based on your abilities, where you came from, what you bring into the equation, and teach you from there. Either not only do we teach you in the classroom, also to have faculty and staff members to act as mentors, as well as life coaches for you, taking you to activities. There are some students that come to us who've never been to any cultural event at all throughout their elementary school, high school, before getting to Weatherford College. Yet, we want to educate them to go out there in the workforce. But the workforce is not just the same thing where they came from. It's diverse, it's different, and it is our responsibilities to embrace those differences and expose our students to those various cultures. So today we are going to be challenging some of our faculty members as well as our staff members and you, the student, to take charge or be a mentor or be a mentee, be a coach, and be a student. And let's set some realistic goals. Let's all have some end goals in mind. And that end goal is success. And how do we all get to that end goal? It doesn't matter how we get there. As long as every one of you have that ability and given that opportunity, mentored, coached, you can get there. Okay.
So I wanted to just kind of touch base a little bit on the unrealistic expectations. In my experience working in TRIO programs, being a first-generation student and a low-income student growing up, the expectation of college, I know for me, I was going to go to college, I was going to make lots of money when I came out, I was going to be rich, have this awesome career, right? Because that's what I thought. That's what we go to college for. Whenever I got to college, started taking classes, I realized there was very much a difference than in high school. High school, I could look over the material, take the test, be okay, not a lot of studying, and I got by, made really, really good grades. College was much different. The expectations of coming to class every day, it wasn't just about attendance. When you miss class, you miss what's learned that day. The notes that you get from your person that sits next to you or whatever doesn't make up for the day that you missed. You're missing information, you're missing an opportunity to learn that you have to grasp. You've got to be in class. It's not, oh, I got perfect attendance like in high school or elementary or whatever. It's about learning the material, okay? So students have this unrealistic expectation of what's expected of them in the classroom. And I think it's very important that as faculty, as staff, as administrators, when we're talking to students, that we're explaining how important it is to come to class, how important it is to retain the information, how important it is to take the notes, and the bottom line of it, where is it going to get them? When you graduate college, you're expected to be a professional in your career, right? And I think when we first come in, we're not really prepared for all of that, no matter where we come from, okay? A lot of our students that I work with, when they come to class, they do have a lot of questions, but they're afraid to ask. They see that professor standing up in front of the classroom as an untouchable. I try to remind our students a lot that teachers, they go to Walmart and buy their groceries just like we do. They get in an argument with their spouse that morning. They have a flat tire coming to work. They're people too. This is what they went to school for. As a student, talk to your professor. Get to know them. But on the other side too, faculty needs to be reaching out, administrators, staff need to be reaching out to those students as well. So there's those barriers there of students not really understanding the purpose of college. They're coming because that's what someone told me to do, so I'm going to go to college and check it out, rather than understanding the expectations of, that are before them.
I'm sorry. One of the things we tell students, when students call this, one of the expectations or the old traditional ways we do things. We say to students, we say, you finish high school, you go to college, you take classes, you pass, you get a degree, you go to the workforce. But that is no longer the case. That is the old traditional way of looking at things. Today, it's going to be, things are going a little differently based on the diversity of students and the makeup of students that we have. So nobody, no employer wants an apprentice. You have a college degree, you say, here I am, teach me what to do. No. They want you come ready to the workforce. So our role as faculty members and staff has to change. We have to evolve with time. And you as students have to take charge as well. You have to remind your faculty members that you want to be prepared for the workforce. When you get out there, are you ready for the work day one? Based on that, we are going to be changing. I have been pushing faculty members to change their pedagogy, the way they teach, the way they approach the subject, to identify where their students are and teach their students from where they are, what we call the evidentiary-based pedagogy, innovative teaching, innovative learning. Through that process, we can take almost every student along to the finish line and to be ready for the workforce. It is not easy. It's something difficult to do. Most faculty members will tell you that. If you walk into a classroom, and even you as students, you walk into that classroom the very first day, you are in the classroom with so many students you never met in your life. Some of them are 17, 16, 19, 25, 50, all in the same classroom, different cultural background. You are scared, right? It is our responsibility to take you from where you are, marginalized, and one of the things, so praises, look at here, the picture there speaks volume. It says, what is the opposite of marginalized? Elevation, praised, promoted, celebrated, valued, acclaimed, right? When students come and they have things on their way, and they feel that they can no longer carry on, it is our responsibility to ensure them that it's okay, that you can do it. It is equally your responsibility as a student to seek out help where you can get them, either with your professor directly or with a staff member, where you feel comfortable. So we have to make ourselves comfortable. You as a student, what I'm trying to empower you is not to be afraid to ask questions. That's why you are here. Don't be afraid to ask questions of your professors, of your staff members. All right? And the same thing goes to our professors and staff people, to identify you and know when you need help. So, on that note, we're going to get into some of the situational things that could be on the way, right? Situation, family issues. There are family things. You have students, first generation, coming to class. There's an area where myself and my colleague here will disagree a little bit, and we'll come back together. In terms of advising students, I've always believed that we must and we should include parents during advising of students, especially first generation, especially low-income students. When the family may want that child to go to work, to go get a job and help pay utility bills for the family, or maybe the family only have one transportation, they cannot drop that student off at school. Maybe the family doesn't understand what or the importance of education. If you are going to spend 2 years or 3 years or 4 years in college, what is the end goal for us? That is the responsibility of our staff members during the process of advising, to be able to tell the parents, say, yes, today things are difficult, but we can find ways to make it better. We can find you some money, financial aid, or scholarship, or even some job, right, within the campus for your child to go through college, yes, things will be rough for the first 2 years, but upon completion of their program, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years, upon completion, this is where they are going to be. This is the outlook of the family. We have to paint the picture. We have to be deliberate and intentional in our advising, in what we do. And the same thing applies to those families. They have to be deliberate and intentional in telling their stories, the true story of where they are. Because you can't help somebody if you don't know what they're going through. All right? So we have an obligation. You as students have an obligation.
So where we somewhat disagree with the advising is through my experience, through my years being a TRIO, working in Upward Bound program, which serves high school students, and Talent Search, one of our other TRIO programs. In Upward Bound, it's involved in those years from 6th grade to 12th grade. The kids may not really have that chance of anything. It's so important to get the parents involved at those ages. I feel personally, myself, I feel that when the student comes to college, that sure, if the parent has some questions, yes, we need to be answering those questions. If the parent wants to sit in on the advising, to give us that opportunity to explain some things, sure, but I feel like once the student gets to college, the student needs to learn how to become that adult, learn how to take that responsibility. But going with what Dr. Ebay is saying is they do need that support, and it is nice if the family can agree with what the college is doing, I guess you would say, and support that student. But in my experience, I don't necessarily see the parents interacting with the student the way we would want them to in order to help them develop that responsibility. A lot of the times in my field, what I do, the parents, we usually want to get the student away from the parent because it actually sometimes hinders their growth rather than adding to it. So I think there's two ways that we can look at that. The parents that want to be involved, I feel, are going to be involved and they're going to be supportive. A lot of the times, like I said, in my experience working with my particular group of students, the parents are working, they're doing other things. They're just letting the student in the school provide for them and show them the resource, etc. Does anybody have any questions on anything? Everybody's pretty quiet and not really saying anything. Do y'all have any questions at this point or anything that you would like to add?
Well, I have something for them to do.
Okay, awesome. Everybody's so quiet.
Okay.
And just to,
Okay.
oh, you know, okay, go ahead. We'll yeah.
Okay. I am or was a first generation or low income student. So answer that question. If you are, which one is it? The one for faculty and the one for student? Yes, faculty you are, or no, you are not. Yes, student or the Oh, let me make sure I have the response open. Sorry about that. I was hiding the response initially. Interesting. More than half of you, right?
Or
Yeah.
one or the other.
Okay, or the other. All right. Okay, let me give you another assignment. Oh, you're still working on that? Okay. Okay. The next assignment. What do you envision as a barrier towards student success? You can enter as many as possible as you want.
Procrastination. I have a theory about procrastination.
You do?
I do. I think some people think they're procrastinators because they wait till the last day to do something. I learned that some people who think they're procrastinators, they're really thinkers. Like they may be given an assignment, say on a Friday, and it's due the next Friday. That's a bad example, but we're going to use it anyways. But you're given an assignment on a Friday, and the moment that you were given the assignment, the moment that you found out what the assignment was, a thinker, in my opinion, is already thinking about what they want to write that paper on or what they want to do. Maybe they did some research on the Saturday and Sunday that weekend. They're thinking the whole time, but maybe it took them till Wednesday to actually get all their thoughts together to write the paper, maybe that Thursday night or whatever. And they call themselves a procrastinator, but I think that they're just a thinker. To me, a procrastinator is someone who literally did not even think about what they were doing until that Thursday night about 6 o'clock when it was due at midnight for that Friday. What do you think? Are any of you thinkers? Do you think you're a procrastinator? You know, I used to think my oldest daughter was a procrastinator, but what I found out is she knew what she wanted to do by the time she sat down and wrote the paper or the project. She had been thinking about it for a very, very long time. It's just she put it together at that last moment.
You are giving our students some ideas here.
You know, but procrastinating is when you wait till literally the last minute to even begin. A thinker starts, you know, they've already thought about what they're going to do. They're moving force, getting it together. They just got to, their thoughts have got to come
So
all together. So
students, next time you are late to submitting your assignment, use high skills, okay? I'm a thinker. I've been thinking about it, but I just haven't.
Well, if you don't do it, that's different.
Anyway.
But a lot of the times you're thinking about it. You know what you want to do. You're trying to get it all together and complete it.
Well, that is very true too. That's very true. I agree with you there. As you can see here, time, money, childcare, family, distractions, so many things could act as a barrier towards student success. And when these things come into play, when they come in your way, a lot of times, some of us want to give up. Some of us want to give up, say, well, I just want to quit. And this is where we, as staff members and educators, faculty members come into play. This is where we come in, and we can see the potential in each and every one of you. And we can come around and reassure you that, yes, those are issues, but do not quit, because we believe in you, and we want you to believe in yourself, and that you can do it. This is where we, as educators, come around, put our arms around your shoulder, and reassure you that, yes, things may be rough, but you can do it. And we will find a path for you to continue to completion. And that is what we do. On that note, I have another question, and this question is going to say, wonderful.
Another thing that I wanted to add to some of that too is a lot of the times, especially if you're right out of high school, you're experiencing this first time of college, this first semester. If you're a low-income student, circumstances, barriers, challenges come in front of you, and your first thought is, I have to quit. I've got to drop all my classes, I have to quit. A lot of the times if you'll talk to somebody, a faculty member, a staff member, someone that you feel comfortable with on campus, a lot of the times just going to talk to somebody, letting them know what's going on, they can see the outside picture and be able to give you some advice on what to do, because a lot of the times you don't have to drop out. You don't have to withdraw from all your classes. There is a solution, you're just not seeing it because everything's coming down on you and you feel like that's the only thing to do. When you get in that situation, go to somebody, talk to somebody, let them know this is what's going on, talk it out. And I promise you that there's a better solution than dropping all your classes and forgetting about school. As Dr. Ebe was talking earlier, you know, the longer that you prolong your education, if you say, I better sit out a semester because I need to work, I need to do this or whatever, then the longer it's going to take you to get where you want to be. If you will reach out, use the resources that are provided on this campus. We have some excellent resources. We have some excellent faculty. Reach out to them. Let them know what's going on. And I promise you that I'm going to say 90% of the time there's a solution other than giving up and quitting. There are some answers and some things that you can do to make it through.
And one of the things we do as educators is empowering you to acquire knowledge, occupational knowledge, for you to know exactly what it entails to be in a certain field. Whether you want to go into the nursing program or the PTA program or OTA program or RadTech, whatever program you aspire. A lot of times, students don't even know what it all entails. They just know, oh, I want to be a nurse. Okay, why do you want to be a nurse? Because
my mom
when my mom was sick, there was a nurse that took care of my mom, and I just like what they did, so I want to be a nurse. Okay. That's just 0.1% why you want to be a nurse. How about 99.9% of what it all entails to be a nurse? That's where we come into play. We want to equip you or empower you to have that occupational knowledge, to achieve that self-efficacy, so that you can begin to ask questions. Self-inquiry, where you begin to inquire, what does this job do? Can I truly do it? Do I have the passion for it? Do I have the time for it? Is this something that I can do? When you have that knowledge, then you are going to become a very good student. And you are going to set your eyes on the end goal. And you are going to be successful. But don't do it because somebody wants you to do it. You are doing it because you want to do it and you know you can do it. And that is where you can, even in the midst or in the middle of your education, you can change. When you acquire this knowledge about the field that you want to go into, and then you take that responsibility and move forward from there. All right. I have another question, I believe. Do I have one more question for you guys? Oh, I believe that's my last question.
Wow.
Okay, that was the last of the question. But before we run out of time, let me go back here. Okay, some of the things we touched on, in terms of the barrier, situational issues, family issues, work, transportation, the mindset. What's your mindset? Do you know, do you truly want to be here? Do you want to continue? Do you have what it takes to continue? Do you still believe that you can finish? And where we can help you and put you at the right place to be. Information, clarity of instruction, and responsibility and self-efficacy. The one thing I like to mention here is this. Student to student mentoring. Student to student coaching. You can be a mentor to your fellow student. You can coach them based on your experience. If you have been here for 2 semesters, you can coach that students coming in for the first time. You can mentor them. You can even organize tutoring for each other. You can take up this initiation on your own. It doesn't have to be somebody reminding you about it or asking you to do it. It's something you as a student can take up. You can seek out somebody from your class that is very strong and say, look, I want to study with you. Can you tutor me? Can you be my friend? I used to mandate this in my class several years ago. I make my students mentor each other and be friends with each other, study together. I say, and if you, and you can suggest this to your other instructors, if I study with my partner or my classmate, if our grades continue to improve, progressively improving, can we get rewarded for extra credit? I do that. If you go from 50 to 60 to 70 to 80, then at the end of the semester, I give you an A because you have shown progress all along. That is evidentially based learning and teaching. It's not just based because you got a 90, you passed, you got a 50, you failed. No. It's the progress you made from day one. And you can use that argument with your instructors in the classroom. And if you meet resistance, you come to me. I'm the dean. All right? And then we can make things happen. We want you to take charge of your learning. I know some of my instructors will say, no. I say, yes, we can. We have to evolve. We have to evolve. And this is the conversation that is taking place across the nation. It's evidentially based teaching and learning. It's no longer the old traditional way, come, memorize, pass, fail. No, those are dead. You as students, I'm empowering you to take charge of your own learning and take it to your classroom, take it to your classmates, take it to your faculty members, and then the faculty members will do the same. That's what we achieve by saying you achieving self-efficacy. We give you some responsibility, and you achieve that.
Dr. Ube, can I add something to
Please.
that? And I think this too, by looking for that study partner or that study group, I think that this is another way that cultural diversity comes in, is I have seen non-traditional students, I'm thinking of one in particular that's sitting in this room, but I'm not going to call them out, but a non-traditional student that was in our program who took the traditional students in their A&P class and would sit with them and teach them A&P and would work with them. And it was amazing to watch. A lot of the times the non-traditional students, They say, oh, I'm too old, I don't fit in. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You make a huge impact on the traditional students, because they're looking to you for guidance, and you're looking to them to learn how to study, to kind of get into the groove with everything. There's so much that y'all can do together and help each other and bring so much to the table with a lot of things, experiences with the non-traditional student, the first time in college traditional student. Together y'all have so much to bring and to learn from. So keep that in mind as well, of how much each of you, you're all in the same class together, you're all learning the same thing, and you're each going to bring something different to the table when you get in those study groups or studying with each other. So don't think you're too old, that you don't have anything to offer, because you have so much to offer. And don't think that you're just, your first semester here, that you don't know anything. Work together. Y'all have so much that you can bring together to learn.
Yeah, let me ask you guys, have you guys, anyone in here know about a university called Kettering University? Kettering, Kettering University. It used to be General Motors University or General Motors Institute. It's based in Flint, Michigan. Flint, Michigan. All they do is engineering. And the students from there, compared to students from University of Michigan, which is a big university, or from MIT, which is a big university known for technology, students from Kettering University earn more money and are highly recruited by employers. Why? Because of their model of teaching. Right from day one, semester one, the very day you step into the classroom, they put you in the internship, right from day one. They don't wait for you to be a junior before you get into internship. You start your internship from day one as a freshman. By the time you are done, most of those employers employ those students. Why? Because they want you to be able to articulate the information on your skill set. I say this quite so often to my students, to my faculty members, that when you teach a student, or any one of you in here as you go through class, at the end of the day, when you come out of that class, can you truly articulate or repeat to someone in just 1 or 2 sentences what you learned from that class on that day? If you can do that, then that means you are using your brain power, you are a good student. And that's what they are looking for in the workforce. I went to a conference somewhere in Fort Worth, and the director of the workforce program from the state, the guy came in there. The guy said, look, you guys can teach whatever you want. But if these students come out and they cannot articulate their skill set, nobody's going to hire them. Nobody's going to hire them. Because we just don't want you to have a piece of paper and you don't even know what a hammer is. And you want to work in construction. Hey, can you hand me that hammer? What is it? You don't know what it is. But you have a degree because you have a degree, have a bachelor's or associate degree in construction, yet you don't even know the tools to use for that job. Are you with me? So your ability to articulate the skill set that you are learning every day, that you have acquired, that is so important. And that is why I want you guys to take charge of your own learning. And let your instructors know, your professors know in the classroom that you want to learn based on those factors. And then we can make a change. It doesn't have to be from the faculty to the student. It can also be from the student to the faculty.
Absolutely.
All right? And I am empowering you to take charge of your own learning. Questions? I'm sure some of you have questions or comments.
I just have one comment.
Yes.
Before I get to my next
Sure.
Do you want to get the,
No,
Oh.
I can speak it. I can
lit-
speak up.
okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I know Larry could hear it on
This
this.
is you just challenged the students, and this is the challenge that I would put out here for the students, especially first generation students. You need to be open to change. You need to come to higher education with an idea that you are going to embrace this experience and that in some way it should change you. It should change maybe your value system.
Absolutely.
It might change your perception of people or the world in general, maybe some of your habits. That a person who can go through higher education without being changed has not gotten an education.
Absolutely.
Very, very well said.
Absolutely. And
Very
with
well
that being said, I know a lot of students that will come to me and say, I don't think I'm smart enough, Kim. I don't think I'm smart enough to do this. I've seen the most successful people that they worked tremendously hard, they utilized their resources, and they got where they needed to be. It's about the whole mindset, and just like Kay said, is being prepared to look at things differently, see things differently, work hard, make the sacrifice, and know that you're working towards something and meet every goal that you can to get there.
Okay, I need to hear from the student. Come on, who want to say something? I'm sure somebody want to say something. Yes, Veronica will say something.
I'll
Go
say
ahead, Veronica.
something. I think it's amazing what the whole presentation that you just presented. I think we as students, yes, sometimes we're scared of our faculty. Sometimes we're scared to ask questions because, I don't know, who knows, they may retaliate back. But still, don't be afraid to ask and reach out for help. You know, I'm an adult student, and it's tough to come back to school. But I have to be my own advocate too. And if I'm struggling, if one teacher or one faculty staff member doesn't help me, then I have to go to another one. So being an advocate for yourself is like, you have to. If you're struggling, ask for help. So.
Very good, well said. By the way, Veronica spoke in one of the Dean's Forum last semester. She was one of the presenters. So I'm challenging every one of you in here, students, if you have something of interest and you want to be given this platform to use here to share your talent or your passion, let me know. We will give you that opportunity to use this platform. All right? We want you as students to have a voice. Your voice truly matters. I was speaking with Grant Mills, he just left, the president of the Student Government Association, this morning in my office. How we are talking about students being the fabric of this institution. The reason why we are here is about students. And Dr. Farmer, our president, will remind you that all the time. Say, if it's not about student success, then what is it? All right? If it's not about student success, so what it is. And so you students, I want to empower you again. I will give you the platform here to make your case, to show your talent, your passion, whenever you can. All you have to do is come to me with your ideas, and we put you out here to speak before your classmates and the college. And be actively involved in the college. When you are part of the student government or PTK or attending fine arts event or attending basketball event or baseball or softball or any of those things, believe me, they are part of your learning experience. One day, when you are old like me, your children and grandchildren will ask you, what did you do when you were in college? And you'll be able to share those experiences. Every one of those experiences enhances your learning and your mind. Whether it's listening to music at the fine arts, or a play at the fine arts, or to watch the basketball. I tell people, if you want to be in the healthcare field and you go watch basketball game, you have to watch the anatomy. You have to know what it takes. Why is it they move the way they move? Why is it that they are so quick the way they do? Those things should come into your head, because if you are a PTA person, how are you going to take care of them if they get hurt? You must understand the anatomy and the mechanics of what is going on, right? So everything is a learning process. And I tell my faculty members and staff members all the time, every moment is a teaching moment. Whether it is a disappointment or a blessing, but it must be a teaching moment, and you must take advantage of it. Let me hear from somebody else.
Can I say something?
Yes. Dr.
From
Prager?
what I'm hearing from all of this, there is something that needs to happen. Students need to feel connected to the campus, right? To the college. And for that to happen, you have to build relationship with each other, whether with the faculty, whether with somebody who works here. It doesn't matter somebody who works in the cafeteria, or whether it's the president or whoever. You have to build relationship. Relationship is that connecting element that keeps you here. Mm-hmm. And if you feel connected and you feel comfortable and you have a relationship with people here, other students or whoever, if you're having a problem, you will talk to them about it. If you feel you need more resources, in talking to them, maybe not even directly per se, but you'll mention it, and they will connect you to resources. Now, I went to Midwestern State University, and Caribbean students always did outstanding work. We were always top of the class. And do you know why? We kept the village intact. When one person knew something, we passed the word on, whether it's food or how to get extra credits for class, whatever. We connected with each other, we looked out for each other, and we were very, very successful. So that is what I would like to encourage you all to do. Somehow find even the one person. There are some people who are very shy, or not even shy, but they're introverts. We understand. But you have to find someone to connect with. Trust me, there are lots of other introverts there who would love to connect with you. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to, you're walking by the cafeteria in the morning, right? And you see a student there, you look at them, they look away. You say hello, they hardly, they don't even answer. It doesn't mean that they are being, stuck up or anything like that. It may just be that they're not comfortable in social situations. Or they're not comfortable, just making friends like that. It's very hard for them. One day somebody asked me, how do you make friends? I couldn't even answer the question because it just came so natural to me. I had to take a minute to think it through, to give them some tips on to how to, approach others. So remember this. When you get off from class, you're dismissed, do not run to your car. I know you may have to run to your job or something like that. Take a minute to talk to somebody. And to our faculty and staff, for international students, for instance, you all know I'm the sponsor, so I'm going to advocate. One of the things we can do, most of them live off campus, most of them, and they cannot work anyway because, of the F1 visa. So it would be good if we can have them volunteer in our office. It doesn't have to be a whole lot of stuff, just volunteer. That's one way of getting them to connect with you. This morning we had a student come by and Stacy hooked up with some stuff. I was like, Stacy, did you know all that stuff? You know what I'm saying? But now she's connecting with another staff member in my office. She needs something, she feeling lost or something like that. One day she will come talk to Stacy. Build relationship, guys.
Very
build
good.
Relationships.
Very good advice. Oh, and let me also say one thing about connecting with people. I remember when Dr. Farmer, our president, when he first came, and he was he would walk around the campus and see students on their cell phone. He would just say, "Hello, how are you?" And then they would start, they would look at him, we shake their hand. He said, "That's the way," and he encouraged us to do the same with students so that people can stay away from their cell phone for a moment and be able to say hello to each other. Okay? And so when you walk around the campus, even strangers, you see them on their cell phone, interrupt them. Just say, hello, how are you? Maybe they can stay away from the cell phone for a moment. All right? It's a good thing. It's a way to connect. All right? Oh, and let me also, she's from Grenada, I'm from Nigeria. And let me just put in this plug there. Nigerians, we are the most educated immigrants in the United States. That is true. Ask anybody. Nigerians are the most educated and progressive immigrants in the United States. We are everywhere, every corner of the United States, east to west. You must find a Nigerian. I just want to plug in that there. That is statistically true. If you call the immigration, they will tell you that too. So we are, and I take pride in that. And by the way, so before we run out of time, one thing I have to say, you've been hearing in the news lately about coronavirus.
Yes.
Coronavirus is something that is threatening the world economy right now. China is a global powerhouse, economic powerhouse. And if China economy is suffering, the world economy is going to suffer. And today, this morning, we're hearing Italy, Iran, and so many other countries are now becoming, just last week, Italy reported only 3 cases of coronavirus, but this morning, 200. So it is moving, and it's moving very fast. What does that mean? Yes, we do know that flu is equally contagious, but what we can say to you is proper hygiene, washing your hands properly, and covering your cough and sneeze, and be a responsible citizen. When you have cold, stay away from others. I do see sometimes some of my faculty or staff members, they will go around walking around sick. They say, oh, I just have the allergy. I say, BS. I am a clinician, an MD, so I understand the symptoms of what allergy is versus what flu and cold is. I say, go home and be responsible and stay away from others. Wash your hands. This job will continue with or without you. Right? The same thing with students. If you are sick, don't try to spray it to your fellow classmates. Again, wash your hands. If it means you don't shake hands, you give the fist bump, that's good too. Okay? And let's try to be responsible. Any other question? Concern? Kim? Frank, what do you want to say? Anything before we conclude? Not so fast. Yes.
Can I say something?
Yes, Yvonne, please. Go ahead.
A lot of what this conversation has been is about mentors. Of students in this room, how many of you would like to have a mentor on campus? Really? Is that all?
Have a mentor?
Okay, what I want to impress upon you is, just sitting in this room, I counted at least 10 staff or faculty mentors that I know of. There's some in this room I don't know. Probably of the students in this room, I know of at least 6 of you that are mentors to another student. So if you're looking for a mentor, this is a good room to start in.
On that note, Yvonne, could the faculty members and staff members in this room please stand up for a moment? All faculty and staff members. Let's give them a hand of applause. These are the faces, students, these are the faces that you can go to because they are already actively involved in mentoring and coaching students. So if you need a mentor, start from here. Okay? Start from here. Look at the faces very well. Make sure you can identify. If you don't know where to find them, come to me. I will direct you to them. All right? And thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.